Welcome back. By the end of the last video, what we had were our 4 sprites, 2 of which, the hydrogen ones, we had moving around, and the other 2 we just hid. What we want to do now is to adapt this program so that these 2, when they touch each other, they actually disappear and sprout these 2 sprites in their place. What this will represent is the reaction between 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay, hydrogen fusion is an interesting reaction between these 2 atoms. The best example comes from the inside of stars. This is the reaction that provides enough energy to essentially power all the stars that you see in the sky. And under the right conditions, under high pressures and high temperatures, these 2 atoms, when they collide, they form helium. They stick together, the electrons, the nucleuses, they form a brand new nucleus. In this case, it has 2 electrons, 2 protons, and usually 2 neutrons as well, thus producing helium. In actual fact, it's a little bit more complicated than that. There's a few more steps as well, but for the sake of this simulation, what we're going to have is these 2 hydrogen atoms hit each other, a reaction happens, and we get helium out as a result. And this reaction is energy. These 2 things, they collide, they produce a massive explosion of energy, or at least a relatively massive explosion. Bear in mind that hydrogen atoms are tiny, but compared to their size, they produce an awful lot of energy. And if you multiply that energy by millions and millions of hydrogen fusion reactions per second, then you get incredible amount of energy out. And you also get helium as outputs, which again is one of the reasons why this, if we could crack it here on Earth, would be the perfect solution to all of our energy worries. Okay, so let's get down to how are we going to get these 2 to react. What we need to know is if they are touching. Because if we run this, they do touch. They touch right there, and again there, and so on. But they're not doing anything. What we need to tell these sprites is what to do when they touch. And the first thing you do is, how do they know when they're touching? Well, what we use is something called an if statement. We go to control, and we find we've got 2 if statements here. We've got this one and then if else. Now, if else is usually used when there's more than one condition we're looking for. We're not going to use that. We're only after these 2 touching. One condition. So we're going to use this, and we're going to put it inside the forever block. Why inside the forever block? Because we want it to constantly be checking if this condition becomes true. If they touch, which is the condition, if that becomes true, then we do whatever's inside our if block. If we had this outside, like that, like this, it would check for the condition at the beginning. If it wasn't true at the beginning, it gets ignored. We want it inside, like so. Now the condition is if touching, and we can do that because Scratch has these handy blocks, touching, mouse pointer. Put that in there. We don't want to be touching the mouse pointer, we want to be touching the other hydrogen sprite. And by clicking this little arrow there, we can choose hydrogen 2. We could, if we wanted to, choose helium or reaction, but that wouldn't get us what we wanted. We're going to choose hydrogen 2 instead. And what we want to happen is we want this to show, then and this to show. Now we can't use this to say show helium, show reaction. What we can do is use this if statement to broadcast a message. By broadcasting a message, we can then have our other sprites receive that message and do something based on that. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to events, and we are going to broadcast message 1. Okay? Now this means that our sprites are still going to move around, but if hydrogen 1 touches hydrogen 2, then it's going to broadcast message 1. Now if it broadcasts message 1, the first thing we want to happen is we want our hydrogen atoms to hide. Okay? When the hydrogen 1 receives message 1, we want it to hide. Now if we're hiding it, we need to also bring it back when we restart our game. Now we need to add in a show block there. Okay, so this will get rid of it, this will bring it back. And that's what we want our hydrogen atoms to do. We just simply want them to move around once they touch each other to hide. Now we want our reaction, so it's hide at the beginning, but when it receives message 1, we want it to, first of all, we need to tell it where to go. We're going to send it to this reaction between. We don't want it to disappear somewhere random on the screen. We want it to actually go to one of these sprites, as if it's showing that the reaction is happening between them. So I'm going to go to motion, and you choose this go to random position. But instead of random position, I'm going to change it to say hydrogen 1. I could use hydrogen 2 as well, that would be fine. That's what we want. Now, when it goes there, we want it to show. We want to bring it back. So we're going to use show. But what we don't want this reaction to stay there. It's an instantaneous thing. These two hit each other, an explosion of energy is released, and then once the dust settles, so to speak, we have helium left over. So all we want is only to show it for a split second. I'm going to use this wait. What this will do is it'll pause my reaction, or it'll pause everything here until the time is up, and then it'll move on to the next one. So I'm going to say half a second, and then I'm going to hide it again. And what we have now is when these two touch, the broadcast message 1, they'll disappear. When the reaction then receives message 1, it goes to hydrogen 1, shows, waits for half a second. Once half a second's passed, it hides. And then when we start our game again, it'll hide as well. And finally, we want our helium. Now at the moment, we've got our helium is moving, that's fine. It's hidden. When we click the green flag, that's fine. What we want is all this to happen when we receive message 1. So let's detach that and get rid of that. Go to events. When I receive message 1, we're going to go to, not going to go to a random position, because we want this to be born from our reaction. Which means we're going to go to reaction. Then we are going to go to looks, and we're going to show. Okay? But we don't want to show when the reaction is also shown. We want the reaction to happen, then to show. So what we can do is we're going to pause between these two blocks for the same amount of time. So we're going to take a wait and pause for half a second, then we're going to show up, then we're going to move about the screen. Okay? So now, putting all that together, we have our two hydrogen atoms. Oh, we still haven't done our hydrogen 2, but what will happen, they'll move around the screen. Once they touch, they'll disappear. We'll have a reaction. Then once that disappears, we'll have helium left, which will be bouncing around the screen. So the last thing we want to do, we're going to take this message 1 hide. I'm going to put that in there. Okay? So now this will hide as well. And just for good measure, we'll take this bit, put it in here, add that into our forever loop, and change to say hydrogen 1. Okay? So now they both are sensing to see if they're touching the other one. If that happens, they send out message 1, reaction shows, helium shows, and these two disappear. Okay? So let's see how this goes. Just before we do that, let's make sure that our hydrogen 2 will come back as well. So let's run this and see how it goes. So far so good. They're moving, they're showing, the other two are hidden, and as they come close to hitting each other, tension rises, and there we go, we have a reaction, and we have our helium. Okay, what we could do, if we wanted, so we could change this a little bit, So it only starts moving after it's shown, but we'll leave that as it is for now. Okay, so that's how we get our reaction. And in the simplest possible terms, this is what happens with hydrogen fusion. Two hydrogen atoms under incredible pressure and temperatures, they hit each other, the nucleuses and the electrons, they smash into each other and they reform under these incredible temperatures and pressures. They release an incredible amount of energy for their size, and as a result, they produce helium, which is a bigger atom. And truth be told, this reaction continues, and we could have more helium being produced. We could have the helium and hydrogen hitting each other to produce heavier elements, and so on and so on and so on. But keeping it nice and simple, this is what happens. In the final video, we'll come back to this, and we will look at cloning, how we keep this reaction going so the helium just builds and builds and builds on our screen. These hydrogen atoms will come back, and we'll have the reaction happening over and over and over and over and over again until we decide to stop it, which is much more similar to how it would happen inside a hydrogen fusion cell or hydrogen fusion plant or star or something like that. Okay, so have a go at this, play about with it so it's all nice and you're happy with it. Once you're ready, move on to the next one, and we will look at how we make this reaction sustainable, okay, which is the final hurdle for us to conquer on Earth to produce hydrogen fusion.